Welcome to BlackScreenStories. My name is Austin. If you know me, you know I recently had my car battery changed. I say recently because of what happened on Wednesday. Well, I don't know how to actually start this. How do I start this? Good start. Okay. Um, this pack, this past week, my boss had me on a special assignment, so I was at a different building than what I'm normally at, which is further away. So I, get there, do my work for the day, and I'm like, all right, let's head home. Put in my 8 hours. I'm going home. Get in my car, and I turn the key, and it's like, tick, 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 tick. I've never had that sound before. So I'm like, well, that's never good. So I immediately Googled, hey, car's ticking. They're like, oh, well, maybe you need to clean off your battery terminals. Device, can you not bump the thing? Get off the table. Move. Yeah, so, my phone's like, hey, check the battery terminals. So I get out, clean up terminals, and we're out of gunky. I'm like, alright, whatever. So I tried again. Same exact sound. I'm like, oh, that's never good. Now the phone says, it might be the starter solenoid or the relay. So I'm like, oh, that's just dandy. Call up a dealership. I'm like, hey, my car's not starting. It's making this ticking sound. And they're like, oh, I really didn't know, who I need to talk to someone. They're like, oh, well, service just left 2 minutes ago. So they can't help you. I'm like, cool. If I bring my car in, can I get a rental or at least a spare? They won't rent it; they'll actually let you use it. They're like, oh, well, they're also part of that, and they left 2 minutes ago. It's like, oh joy. It's like, well, I might need a ride home, so I'll call my mother. Call my mom. I'm like, hey, so car's not starting. And I explained what the sound is. Like, oh, it's a dead battery. Now I've had dead battery before. I accidentally left my lights on, and when I went to start my car, it was nothing, no sound. It was just like nothing. It didn't want to do anything. So I knew that sound meant dead battery because I experienced it. This new sound, I'm like, why would that be a dead battery? Or whatever, okay. And I remembered that I lent my jumper cables to my father, and he has yet to get in the back. It's like, great, now I have to find someone. Luckily, I see two people leaving. We're going to go, hey, do either of you have jumper cables? Like, no, we don't. Maybe someone's had us. I'm like, maybe, okay. I start to go inside, and there's another guy leaving. I go, hey, do you have jumper cables? He's like, yes. I'm like, perfect, can you please jump me? It's like, I will. Luckily enough, he was the car right next to mine. Like, perfect. This is great. So, he brings out his cables, hooks up to his car, hooks up to my car, start her up. It runs. I'm like, oh, I guess it actually was a dead battery. Like, alright, cool. I need to get a new battery now. So I look up directions to an AutoZone, not sponsored, and it was only like 2 miles away. I did call my mother back to let her know, hey, the battery's starting, I'm going to go get a new one. And I trust my mother just because her and my father built a 34 Ford for their wedding. So they both are, I come from a car family, so they both know what they're doing. So I head to the AutoZone, where my phone says it's at. It wasn't, but luckily I could see a block away an Advanced Auto Parts, also not sponsored. Like, perfect. Park, go inside. There's I'm 6'3", so everyone's little to me, but like a little girl working. I'm like, hey, I need a new car battery. It's like, oh, what kind of car do you have? Like, here's my car. All right, well, we have one battery available, and it's expensive. Like, oh, I need it. All right, well, do you want it installed? And I've changed many batteries in my life. I don't have the tools in my car to do such things. I don't have any ratchets or anything, so I'm like, yes, I will need it installed. Says, yeah, okay. I paid for it. She brings out the new one. And I'm like, alright, well, I'll go open my hood. So I leave. Another couple walk in because they need something. Open my hood, and I walk back inside. And I guess they needed oil or this conversation. So the employee, she's like, oh, well, do you have oil? The car owner, well, I did the thing where you take out the stick, you clean it off, you dip it back in, take it out, and it said it was low. So you probably need more oil. Let's go check it. Then she goes to me and goes, are you in a hurry? And I'm like, oh, kind of. I do have an hour drive ahead of me to get home. But if you're just checking oil, that's fine. Go check. So they do. Turns out whatever their problem was, they didn't want to get fixed, so they leave. So now, the original person who was helping me, the short little girl, and now a bigger girl also is out. Like, alright, let's go do this. So she's pushed in the little cart, and she gets stuck on the little divider between the door, like the bottom door frame. We get it out. He's like, all right, now let's go change the battery. The hood's already open. She pulls out a ratchet, puts on the extension, which you don't need, puts on a depot socket. That's a depot socket. I'm like, good. Do need that because you need to get the holder brace. I don't know what you call it. The battery holder, I'm pretty sure, because you need to get those screws off, but they're on like long, thin bolts. So she puts the ratchet. She changes it to loosen, puts it on, starts to loosen. It goes, oh, I'm tightening it. Turns it to tighten. Starts going lefty-loosey, but since it's on the tighten section, it's just ratcheting. So it's just brrrr. She does that for a few rotations. Goes, oh wait, no, that was right. Turns it back to loosen. Starts loosening it, but she doesn't do like a normal ratchet. She's just going in full circles, which actually does take longer. And I'm watching, I'm like, oh my goodness. She eventually gets that off, but she drops one of those like little bolt things down, so now she has to try to get it. So she runs back inside, grabs one of those magnana sticks, brings it out, starts trying to fish for it, somehow gets it more stuck in the car because it didn't fall all the way through. I know Tobias. Then goes, oh, well, this magnet sucks. Go back inside, gets a new magnana stick. At this point, a guy walks up, and he notices that I'm in Illinois with an Indiana license plate and a Green Bay Packers license plate cover. He goes, huh, Packers in Indiana? I'm like, yeah. Oh, well, where are you from? Here's the town that I'm currently living in. Oh, well, how is it? Yeah, it's pretty good. And he starts talking. He's like, oh, what are you doing here? I'm like, oh, work. Well, I'm actually from this town in Illinois. Oh, you're from Illinois? Well, yeah. I just choose to work all the way over here. I don't advise. So he's talking to me because he's riding his bike. He's all up in like the spandex and stuff. And he's just talking to me about, how he's going to retire soon. He wants to get out of Illinois because it's expensive, which it is, and that's why I left it. I still work there, working on that. And we're talking for a while, and because he was also a Packer fan, so he was happy to see someone. And you are a Packer fan too, Tobias, just because you have to watch the games with me. You don't get a choice. Well, you can actually choose to like another team, but you're watching the Packers. All right. So we're talking for a while. To where I'm just kind of like, all right, dude, kind of move on. And he notices, like, oh, what are you guys doing? I was like, oh, they're changing the battery. He goes, and it's taking this long? And I'm like, dude, you really want to insult them right now while they're trying to figure this out? It's like, trust me, I'm livid right now because I wanted to get home. I'm already behind schedule. I'm a very planned out person. I don't like spontaneity kind of stuff. Things that happen fastly out of nowhere. I'm a very big planner. So I was like, I just want to go home. And I'm internally just incredibly annoyed. I'm like, if I had the tools, I would do this myself because it's very easy to change a battery. So he leaves. I turn back, and they finally got the battery holder out, and they're ready to replace the battery. I'm like, oh my goodness. I've literally been here for almost an hour. All right, they're like, well, you're a big guy, and we're small women. Can you help change the battery? I'm like, all right. So I take the old battery out, put the new battery in. They then put like the little case over it. Then have to put the little hooks in for the battery holder. Put the top part. Starts, ratcheting them in. But instead of like loosening them, ratcheting like a normal person, she's going in full circles. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, please. Then they have to try to get because the positive terminal for new batteries usually have like a little plastic thing over it just to keep it safe. So she's using pliers because you have to like kind of like rip the one side so you can take the plastic part off. But instead of using like needle nose pliers or any sort of normal pliers, she's using wire cutters. You can't. It's thin plastic. So every time she's trying to pull it, she's just tearing more off and not getting anything. To where the other person's like, can you not just pull it off? You're like, oh no, we gotta remove this thing. So the other person reaches over and just takes it right off. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, please, I just want to go home. I just want to go home. They finally get the terminals then hooked up. And that was just an ordeal and a half because they're like, obviously you want to be safe because safety is important. I'm like, all right, cool. I go to start my car. It starts up. Great. They're like, cool, thanks. I'm like, thank you guys. I close my hood. I pull out. I'm like, you know what? I need, and I saw Taco Bell not sponsored near me. I'm like, I need to get me a Baja Blast right now just to calm these nerves. And so I leave there, and on my way to the Taco Bell, not sponsored, I called my mother. I'm like, hey, I'm finally done. And she's like, why'd this take so long? And I explained her the whole thing. And she's laughing because she knows exactly how to change the battery and how to do it fast. It's a very simple process. Remove the battery holder. You can remove the terminals or the battery holder first, or it really doesn't matter which one. Take out battery, put in battery, put everything back together. It should not take almost an hour to complete. And then I still had to drive another hour to get home. I was livid. But I got a new battery, so that should last for a while. And honestly, this is on me, because for the few days beforehand, every time I tried to start the car, it did go and then start up. So that's on me. My car was telling me, I just wasn't listening. I got a new battery, good to go. And if I ever need to get a new battery, I'm never going to that specific place. Nothing against women. Women can understand cars. My mother does. She knows. She's very capable when it comes to car stuff and tools and doing things. But why were these the only two people there? Now on, I just need to keep tools in my car so I never have to deal with that again. And I hope none of you have to deal with that either. If you do this video, see you next time.